How is it going, you lovely lot? Welcome back to Park to Prem. Last episode we left things with a big old recruitment budget, and that transfer budget still exists. Yeah, I have £52 million I've not spent, and we are back today for the opening day of the Premier League season, away against Chelsea in 1 week's time. Man City await. So a really horrible start to the season. Now, of course, the aim for this season in the eyes of the board is just to avoid relegation. I would like to do a little better than that if we can. You can actually see, looking at the 5-year plan, the longer term aim basically is just to maintain a Premier League status. I would love to be pushing towards mid-table, maybe even top half this year. I think that is going to be a tall order. What I will say is, though, despite the fact we've not spent a load of money, both the supporters and the board are relatively happy with the players we've picked up, of which you might have spotted at the top here, there are 2 new names. Neither of them are going to make a splash in the first team immediately. The first is Jacob Jones, a youngster released by Manchester United in the summer who my staff thought had a load of potential. He's joined us and now that potential allegedly has dropped down a little bit. But given his current ability for an 18-year-old English player, figured he was worth a punt. And the other one we picked up is Branko Stamenkovic. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Now, you might be thinking, Jack, why have you signed this guy? Because he's a bit underwhelming at first glance. There's a couple of reasons. Firstly, 18 years old, 6 international caps for Montenegro. But the other big thing about this guy is, and I'm not sure why I've clicked here to show it, he was wanted by Man City and PSG. Yeah, Man City and PSG wanted this guy, and I feel like if those big teams want him, he must be good. My staff thought he had insane potential, already has League One ability as well. And all in all, I think he's got the mould to be a really good player if he has the potential. You might be wondering, Jack, how did you manage to sign him over Man City and PSG? I had to offer him £17,000 a week, but it is a 5-year contract. I'm hoping that's not going to age too horrifically. Look, I'll admit it, it's a risk. I think it's a calculated risk. If he develops, amazing. If he doesn't, you can all point and laugh. We paid less than £1 million for him. I felt like we could go a bit silly on the wages. Besides those 2 transfers, though, no one new signed since last episode. It puts our net transfer spend at the year at positive £30 million. That's not to say that we won't spend any of the remaining money in the next couple of weeks of the transfer window, but going into the season with a squad of 26 players, I'm kind of happy with where we're at. Ahead of the new season, I do want to start with a little squad rundown, and we will kick things off with the goalkeeping position, where I did see comments regarding Nana, and I kind of agree with them. I'm not sure Nana has the long-term potential for us. At 22 years old, whilst he's got potential allegedly, I think he's got to improve quite a bit to be that long-term option for us between the sticks, but crucially, he is homegrown at club now, having spent 3 years here, so I do envisage him being our long-term number 2 at the very least, and I feel like we owe it to him to give him at least 1 more season to prove his worth. Behind him, I do feel like Hardy and Anson are serviceable backups for now. I think in an emergency, Hardy could be our goalie for a period of time, but yeah, I think that is definitely a position that if we don't address in January or in what's left of this window, a new goalie is definitely on the chopping list for in the very near future. I think of all the positions in the team where we have the most strength in depth, it has to be the centre-back area. We have just some really good players across the board here. It's interesting to note that my staff think that Jimenez is the best of the bunch, and yet for me, I don't think he's even in the top 3 of our back 3. I do love the 20-year-old, and he's got a lot of potential, wanted by Manchester United. I think an indicator of that. Definitely want to make sure he is getting game time this year, and admittedly, whilst we do have a lot of quality in the centre-back position, it's actually quite a lean setup. You've kind of got to ignore Aguiar here in the list. So the reality is we have 6 first-team centre-backs. I think of the 6, Silva is the worst. He is a player who will probably play the under-21s a lot more this year. But even in the case of him, I feel like in an emergency, if I need a centre-back, I could call upon Silva. Of course, we have got Grommen and Pereira for those wider areas. They were good performers last year. I'm hoping they're going to step up a little bit more. And of course, between them in the back 3, it is going to be Oliver playing in the middle. Admittedly, you know, this is very fluid. If I don't like how Oliver's performing, or maybe Grommen or Pereira's not putting in a shift, especially Pereira, because he is potentially looking to force a move. He is unhappy at the moment with the fact I've not accepted an offer from Saudi Arabia. I do feel like Jagan and Washi could come in and not really be a massive step down. In fact, I think across the centre-back position, there's 5 players really fighting for the 3 starting spots. Now, of course, the wing-back area, or rather the wide midfielder area as it is this year, is going to be an interesting one. Sassi has just renewed his contract out on the left-hand side. And after a long old search, Abdel Bordalas is the man I've picked up to be his understudy, or admittedly, he is actually older than Sassi. Nevertheless, though, I think as a backup option in this left-back, left-mid, left wing-back area, he has a lot to like. And of course, on the right-hand side, we have the new boy in Claudio Ruiz. The 22-year-old Argentine looks absolutely phenomenal. I am concerned about his jumping reach. With the way we like to play, where we're distributing it to the flanks, there might be aerial battles that need to be won, and it's one of those things where if the distributing to flanks isn't working, we might change it to distribute to our three centre-backs. Alternatively, you know, when we bring in Maria Garcia, it'll be a good kind of measuring stick, I suppose, to see how much does that jumping reach actually make a difference, in addition to stuff like slightly superior stamina and work rate. I guess the nice thing with this situation is, if Claudio doesn't step up, I know that Maria Garcia is good enough. Now, of course, in the heart of our midfield, we have Emerson Cardozo. The Bolivian playmaker has been here for a long old time now, it feels like. The 22-year-old is going to be holding down the fort to start the season. Of course, for us, I think to start the year, he is going to be playing as that deeper lying playmaker, but there is definitely a world where he could play a slightly more advanced role for us. Ahead of him this year, we are going to have an attacking midfielder and a channel midfielder. Blake is going to at least initially occupy that attacking midfielder role. And of course, Buabri, Simon, finally a player who can take set pieces, joined for £16 million to kind of play that new look channel midfielder role for us. It's a role that he's going to have to pick up. He needs to learn the centre mid position a little bit better. But I feel like he's got a hell of a lot to like in this position. One thing I've not really discussed is my concern when it comes to the depth at centre mid. We have two good young defensive midfielders, I suppose. Christian Bendel, I think, is more of a playmaking option, although he has got some very good legs on him to get around the pitch. I think, to be honest, he is most likely going to end up playing as maybe the attacking midfielder or maybe the channel midfielder for us this year as an understudy. We then do have David Addons, who I think is a pretty solid defensive player, and at 19 years old, I think we've just got to give him game time, watch him improve. It's kind of amusing how every single one of his physicals is a 12. I don't know if that's oddly satisfying or just a bit creepy. Now, I was a little bit concerned that with Bendel and Addons as backups, they might not have enough quality. If I get an injury, I don't want to have them in the first team for multiple games, which is why we've pulled the trigger on this transfer. Paulo Riu, we are waiting on a work permit, less than £10 million for the Mexican midfielder. Of course, we looked at Mexican attackers all of the previous episode, and Rio here just looked like a really, really good defensive midfielder option. To be honest, he could probably play just as the more attacking midfielder for us if we really needed him to. My thinking really is that if I get an injury to Pierce or Buabri, he comes in for Cardozo and we move Cardozo forward. But I think in terms of just injecting some serious quality into the midfield, this guy is just a cut above what we currently have. And at 22, really bright future. £10 million just felt like it was too cheap. If there is a concern, maybe it's his injury proneness, but I feel like that's a risk we've just got to take at this price. I think once he arrives at the club, I'll be much happier with this midfielder setup. I definitely feel like in terms of our starting three players, we've got quality, but a little bit more just behind them was needed. And of course, last but not least, perhaps the most controversial spot in this team, the striking positions. Now, last episode, we added two new players. Morten Laudrup is here. I love this guy. Admittedly, the fact he's very one-footed is a bit of a shame. We are already working on training his weaker foot, so hopefully he can get a little bbit better with his left. I like him so much, I think this first game of the season, he might start ahead of Ziddy. I feel like these two players, 20 years old, 19 years old respectively, are going to be umming and ahhing about which to pick for a lot of this season. You can let me know down below, of these two, who would you be starting? And alongside one of those two, I think we're going to be going with Cacaio. I think that's how we say this guy's name. The Brazilian striker looks really exciting. I feel like his first touch and finishing are maybe a little lacking, but I look across his physicals and especially his mentals. For a player who's 22, I feel like he's going to offer a lot. We need someone with the new tactic who's going to kind of stitch, I suppose, the attack and defence together. Someone who's going to be a bit of an outlet for us, find pockets of space. I think he is the man for that job. I mentioned the fact that we have Zidane Ziddy as potentially the alternative to Laudrup. I still feel like Aguiar has a role to play in the team this year. He's wanted by teams. There was maybe a temptation to try and cash in on him. But of all the players I've currently got in my team, he is the only player kind of proven, I suppose, at this point, as a Premier League goal scorer. 15 goal contributions in 36 games. Of course, he actually overperformed his XG last year. I feel like our previous system, which just as a reminder was this, just left the striker very, very isolated when we didn't have the ball. With this new system, I'm undoubtedly a little bit worried for our wider areas being exploited, but I do feel like the tracking wide midfielders are essentially going to make us operate as a back five. I feel like when it comes to the new in and out of possession kind of shapes, the way to think about things is your in possession shape that you see here is your positioning when you have a goal kick, and the positioning of the out of possession formation here is kind of your positioning when the opposition have a goal kick. And basically these little arrows indicate how players are going to move as the opposition develop play or as you develop play. So when we do have the ball, we're obviously going to be set up in a 3-1-4-2, but all four of our midfielders are going to be running forward. They are going to be committed men to the attack this year. And conversely, when we don't have the ball, and admittedly the visualizer is perhaps a little bit better for this, it is all about kind of getting the back three and the two kind of wider players in sync with one another, a three-man midfield, and then as the play gets into the final third, it is going to become more of a 5-3-2 for us. A little bit worried about us getting doubled up in the wide areas by overlapping wing-backs, but given how good we are in the air defensively, I don't know if we need to fear crosses quite so much. Now, in terms of the instructions this year, we are also mixing things up. Shorter passing. I want to try and develop play a little bit more patiently, have more possession. At the same time, there's going to be lots of space, I think, for us to pass the ball into, especially with our four-man midfield being four players who are going to commit forward and make runs from slightly deeper. You can see here, I'm going to be looking to underlap on both flanks as well. I definitely think our two wider players, given the fact there's no fullbacks kind of behind them to overlap, when we have the ball, they are going to need to hold on to the play for the channel midfielder and attacking midfielder to basically make the supporting runs instead. I think when you look at these instructions, it's kind of clear. This is going to be a slightly more demanding system in terms of I'm leaning into the ability of our players a little bit more. Out of possession, there's a little bit that's changed from last year. We are going to try and prevent goalie short distribution. The reason for that is it's a lot easier to press with two strikers versus one lone striker in that regard. In terms of the defensive line, kind of trigger press, line of engagement, none of this stuff has changed. The one change I have made, though, is the defensive transition. This year, we need to regroup when we lose the ball. I don't want us immediately pressing, because I definitely feel like with this shape we play, with the two kind of wide midfielders, if we lose the ball and they immediately try and trigger a press, there is going to be so much space in behind for opposition teams to exploit. And whilst I'm hoping Cardozo as a screening midfielder can cover that a little bit in front of the defence, yeah, we have to be a bit sensible. This system is not going to be the most efficient for pressing, but in terms of just setting up a solid defensive unit, I think it could be really, really good. Looking at the season preview, we are not in the bottom three, which I think is a sign that we are improving. The oppositions that we have today in Man City and Chelsea are predicted to finish third and fourth. It's definitely going to be a bit of a baptism of fire for the new tactic system. It's one of those situations where if we lose these two games, I don't think we should panic too much. Speaking of which, let's get into the first game today. We are away from home against Chelsea. Because I've just done a big introduction to the squad, the tactics, and what we've changed this year, we're not going to do the away day. I'm sorry, there will be future opportunities, I'm sure, to play Chelsea in a big game. As you guys will know, if you've ever played in the Premier League, you end up playing against the same few teams quite a lot, especially across cup and league competitions. Now, in terms of the team for today's game, no one is missing. The only little thing I've noticed is that Simon missed a lot of pre-season through an injury. You can see here he's passed a fitness test to play 45 minutes. Do I want to risk him for 45 minutes or do I want to bring someone else in? I mean, in terms of the channel midfielder options, I think Bendel is perhaps the best option that we have. It's not really saying a great deal though. I guess the other thing we could try is playing Aguiar at centre mid. Admittedly, as a channel midfielder, like he's lacking in a lot of areas, but he has got the physicals and mentals for the role, kind of. I guess what might make more sense is to move Blake Pearce into the channel midfielder role and then Aguiar would just play as the more attacking centre mid. This is one of the reasons why I want to bring in the Mexican centre mid. I just look at players like Bendel. Maybe Bendel is the better fit at channel midfielder. In fact, if I wanted to change things up, what I might do is play Cardozo at channel midfielder and then just bring Bendel into the deep line playmaker role. That is probably the most sensible way to set things up today. As much as I want to rush Simon into the first team, it's a £16 million investment. I don't want him getting injured in the first game of the season. 4 players making their debut in this game today. We've had a long old pre-season. Now it's time for a bit of a baptism of fire. Of course, they are playing a 4-2-3-1. That was a tactical shape I did consider playing, but I'll be honest with you, I feel like we've built a bit of an identity at Lewis here, playing a 3 at the back. Even when we were back in the depths of non-league, we played a 3 at the back for a long old time. And I kind of feel like I want to achieve success at this club playing our way. I don't want to abandon that philosophy. I think there's something quite nice in Football Manager when you don't just revert to kind of a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-2-4. The tactic we're playing this year, I'm going to hold up my hands and say it, it's experimental. It's a gamble. I think it can work. And I guess today is going to be a bit of a test of that. Admittedly, the 2 games we have today are absolutely horrible. And if it doesn't go well today against Man City and Chelsea, that's probably not a reason on its own to discount it. I mean, do you want to know the good news? 10 minutes in, we've not conceded. And we've actually had 40% of the ball, and now we have a corner. I feel like set pieces are somewhere we should be shining more. The ball's whipped in. Pereira was under it. Can we keep the attack alive? We can. Sassy. Inside. Pierce. Cardozo. Ball inside. Sassy. Having signed that new contract, it'd be beautiful for him to score the opening goal of the season. On that occasion, the shot's gone over. But the highlight is going to keep on going here. Owusu Oduro for them with the ball. Playing it into the wide area. Of course, there is going to be a bit of a gap in this wider area that is worth being perhaps a little bit aware of with the shape that we play. Overlapping wing-backs could be a bit of a kryptonite for us. So it's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Anyway, Reece James distributing the ball into the wide area. Garnacho, that was a lovely switch of play. The Argentine lays it to Lavia. Bit of space inside Palmer. Dispossessed shot through traffic. Bottom corner. Nana, no chance. Where did Garnacho arrive from here? In one moment, he's like off camera to the right. Suddenly, the ball's in the box and he is just bursting into the middle. Gromman put in a tackle. It fell straight to the attacker. And Nana, I mean, he was offside and he couldn't see the ball as it went into the bottom corner. Not having as much of the ball as I would like here, I suspect, and I wish I could, you know, see pass maps and stuff. Although, I believe at the time you're watching this video, that patch should now be out. Like, Football Manager posted on the forums about the fact it's coming. Like, pass maps would be useful in this situation if I could see them during the match. I'd love to know, where are we losing the ball here? Garnacho, space out wide, shoots. That was a little bit scary, wasn't it? I'm going to change our goalie distribution to centre-backs, and I'm going to get rid of the pass into space instruction as well. I guess when I look at Doku and Garnacho in the wide areas, this is like worst-case scenario, isn't it? For wide attackers, we might have to try and contain this season. So far, Garnacho looks lively, but we can make adaptations. We can make changes throughout this season. I'm not, you know, completely wedded to how we're playing now, as Ruiz, the right-back, skips past his man. Lovely play. Bendel, Cardozo, Laudrup, lovely touch. Oh, I'll tell you what, the passing there was so nice. Kakayo at the end of it with the shot that was saved. It was a bit of a tame effort. But the actual intricate passing there was really, really pretty. Sadly, you don't get points for pretty passing, and Chelsea, who have been very direct in their play, now have possession and are potentially going to look to hurt us here. You can see from a pressing point of view, it's not the most engaged press. We're more than willing to let Chelsea have the ball here and try and have to break us down. The ball in this wide area again. Garnacho has been at the heart of everything. He might be in behind here. Satpayev goes wide to Garnacho. I've never seen Garnacho put in such a good performance. Lavia, Garnacho, Lavia, Casado, Lavia, Kasugi, the left back, steps forward, shoots. I mean, it wasn't that close, but you can kind of see where we might have some issues today. I'm not sure if it's going to make much of a difference. I'm going to tell Sassy to mark their right attacking mid. And on the other side, we will tell Ruiz to mark their left mid as well. One thing I've not really mentioned, actually, is on these wider players, I have got them being told to cut inside with the ball and also hold up the ball. That holding up the ball is to look for those underlaps a little bit more. And additionally, I don't really want them running off into corners and into the wide areas because the wide players are just going to be isolated. There is no fullback to support them from behind. So when they have the ball, I need them driving into the middle so they don't get isolated. Okay, we are approaching half-time. 2 minutes of added time. I mean, the fact we're only 1 goal down against Chelsea, I don't actually think is too shameful. I will admit, I would have liked to have seen us create a little more going forward. And they have looked to stretch our defence quite a lot. What is that goal by Satpayev? I was waiting for an offside flag to be raised. It's not going to be raised. It's one of the most stupid headers I've ever seen in Football Manager. What was that? Like, this is just a moment of brilliance. I don't know what to tell you. Doku, Lavia... The ball's put in. Did that deflect? It might have deflected slightly. Nana's caught off by it. Maybe the keeper should do better, but it's still a stupendous header. I said 1-0 would be good at the break. 2-0 feels slightly less good. Admittedly, we've got the better XG. I don't know if that's really worth a lot. Okay, into this second half we march. I'm not going to make any changes just yet. If I'm going to be level with you, I don't feel like we've been that bad. Obviously, I'd like to see us create a little bit more. There's maybe a temptation in this half just to go a little bit more direct and up the tempo slightly. But overall, I feel like I don't want to say we're holding our own, but I don't feel like we're being humiliated, although Garnacho... If that goes in, maybe we are humiliated. Did Nana tip that over? I think he might have done. Okay, you know what? Hour played here. Let's make some changes. I am going to bring in Simon at centre mid. We're going to do a bit of a shuffle here, but the Frenchman is going to come in to play at channel midfielder. At the back, Ngwashi I'm going to bring in for Oliver, who has not had the best of debuts at centre-back. And I think in the final third, I'm going to go with a double changer. I'm going to bring in Aguiar, I'm going to bring in Ziddy. And for our mentality, I'm going to just ask us to play a little bit more positive. I talk about it a lot. The way I kind of view mentality is a risk factor. How willing are players to get up the pitch that little bit more? We need to go a bit more attacking here. Obviously, I want us to hold on to the ball as best as possible. And, well, let's just see how we fare. I feel like we saw that one really nice piece of passing play in that first half. And there's a little bit of nice build-up play here going on, to be honest. Pierce in the wide area, whipping it in. Aguiar headers it just over. I mean, I wish he'd kept the header down. It's an opportunity. He's been on the pitch 2 minutes. He's having an impact. That's how I'm going to view it. Just over an hour played here. I mean, if we get one goal back, I feel like the complexion of this game changes quite a bit. And whilst there's been, you know, a fair few more highlights in Chelsea's favour, I'm not entirely sure they've really had us pinned back. Ziddy, on his own through the middle, shoots wide. We're creating a little bit. I like this. With us being a little bit more attacking, though, we aren't going to leave ourselves open at the back. Chelsea looking to play it out from the back here. James stepping with it. I think because we've now got the wide players set to men mark the wingers, they are pressing their kind of wing-backs, Chelsea, a lot less, which is preventing the doubling up that was happening in the wider area. Anyway, Doku inside to Reece James, who's took it inside as an inverted wing-back. Ball's dinked to the far post. Garnacho fouled by Ruiz. I mean, Garnacho's now playing on the other winger. I am being bullied by Garnacho. I'm not having fun. Cole Palmer's got a free kick. He can be lethal from these. He goes short. Colwell. Nana with a save. I think that's the second big save he's made for us. That was the best chance of the game, I think. I mean, 20 minutes left. I'm going to go more attacking, unfortunately. I didn't pause the game as I went to make my changes, and now Chelsea have a throw-in and could get the third before we have a chance to go more attacking. Casado plays it back. Alboni with the ball in the wide area, plays it forward. You can kind of see our defensive shape is great. Aguiar on the loose ball. Use your pace, Aguiar. This is your strength. The number 9, the one-on-one. We've had chances. That was the best of the bunch. Aguiar just couldn't finish it at the end. I feel like last year he overperformed his XG. This year, I mean, that chance there is definitely meaning he's underperforming his XG right now. That was such a golden opportunity, but we're creating stuff. We're in possession here. Pierce, Cardozo, as that deep line playmaker dinks it. Ruiz, the right mid, overlaps, pulls it back. Pierce, that is beautiful. That is what I want us doing this year. It's 2-1. That was such nice build-up play. Cardozo playing that deep line playmaker role just clips it in behind. There's players making moves into the box, and with 2 strikers, you know, that is going to create more space for the players following up behind. Pierce scores. It's 2-1. I'm going to encourage the players. There's still hope. We've actually gone really toe-to-toe with Chelsea in this game. Like, there's 5 minutes left. It's difficult, I suppose, to go more attacking with our shape. I guess I can move forward Simon and also Brian to play more attacking whilst playing the same roles. I'm going to bring in Bordalas for his debut and play him at left attacking mid as well. Let's see what the young Spanish player can do from Racing. In terms of distribution, more direct now, and in terms of our attacking distribution, get it over the top to the attack. This is definitely far, far too attacking, but we've got to try and make something happen. We might have a chance as well. Cardozo, involved in that first goal, lays it back to Pereira. If we lose the ball here, that is where we could be in a bit of a bother with the players we're committing for. Chelsea now with space to operate in. I've rolled the dice, I've gambled. Now we have to live with the consequences. They're on the attack here, Chelsea. It's a shot from range. It's a stupid goal. And, well, that's that, isn't it? 4 minutes of added time here. 3-1 defeat to Chelsea. Possession, maybe I'd like us to have a little bit more of the ball, but away at Stamford Bridge, it doesn't get much tougher than this. You know what? We scored a pretty goal. We didn't embarrass ourselves. Chelsea, not an easy game. I say that. Man City's our next game. That one's not easier, is it? Although in the case of Man City, we are playing them at home. They have just won their opening game of the season 3-0, though. Anyway, that game is in 8 days. I'm going to rest up the players for that one. I say that. It's the first game of the year. These players don't need rest. They're professionals. Don't think we're going to sign anyone besides, obviously, the new centre mid in Ryu. I really like this guy. I think he could be very useful going into this next game. Paulo Ryu, welcome to Lewis FC. I really like the look of this guy. I didn't really appreciate until he's joined the club how good he is from a defensive point of view. Like 15 tackling is great, 15 marking, 15 positioning. His reading of the game is really, really solid as well. And actually, I've come around to the idea that I think he is going to have to play as our deep line playmaker this year. And then I'm going to move Cardozo into play as the attacking midfielder in the middle of the pitch. I kind of wish Cardozo was maybe a little bit better carrying the ball and finishing the play, but I suppose those are things that would matter more if it wasn't for the fact he's going to be playing alongside lots of other mobile midfielders and obviously have two strikers in front of him. I feel like when you look at him as an attacking midfielder here, there's a lot to like about Cardozo. It does mean that Blake's going to drop down to the bench, but I don't really view that as a bad thing. Blake is just this kind of jack of all trades, master of some. I was going to say master of none, but that would be a bit harsh. He's a really well-rounded centre midfielder, but yeah, I think as an option on off the bench that we can chuck in for pretty much any of our three midfielder positions, he fits that bill really well. Simon is back for this game, so we're going to see what Simon says as we take on Man City. And in terms of the rest of the team, I am going to start with Ziddy up front over Laudrup for this one. You know, I feel like there's going to be a degree of rotation, mixing and matching, trying to find out what works with the new set of players. I have also, ahead of this game, told our wider players to mark tightly the opposition right attacking mid and left attacking mid when we match up against those shapes. Before I had that instruction on, I noticed a few times our wide players, when we didn't have the ball, they were pressing the opposition fullbacks, and then basically the wide attacking players had load of space in behind. We don't want to see that happening. So I'm going to hope that a combination of marking the target and the wide players, and then for the defensive transition being set to regroup, that we are just going to minimise that space in behind out wide. Anyway, in terms of matches this season, this is not an easy game either, is it? I feel like these first two games are a bit unfortunate, really. I don't know if we'll really get a read as to how good our system is until a few more games into the season. But you know what? At home against Man City, I'm going to hope we can cause a little bit of an upset. You might remember in pre-season, in the first transfer special, I was told we weren't going to be playing at the Dripping Pan this year. We were going to be forced to move because FM26 is not quite finished and probably will never be finished. We're still at the Dripping Pan. Yeah, we've not moved stadiums. So, yeah, the Coliseum down south is still our home. Anyway, let's see how we fare in this game. I mean, a kickoff goal would be good, wouldn't it? No, never mind. That was very optimistic. Okay, 10 minutes into this game, Man City are having a lot of possession, which I don't mind them having a lot of the ball, but I do feel like when we have the ball, we should probably look to hold on to it a little bit more. I'm going to put goalie distribution on centre-backs. Tempo will keep on standard, and passing directness, I think, is okay too. But I just want us to value possession a little bit more if we can. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? Admittedly, of course, with the quality Man City possess, expecting a load of possession is perhaps a tad naive. The ball's whipped in. Sassy heads it away from danger, but only as far as Arda Güler, Savinho, Gula. I don't like this. Zaire Emery shoots. They've got some real superstars in their team, this Man City side. What I will say is, for all the possession Man City have had, and I might live to not regret this, they've not done a lot with it. Like, we're halfway through the first half, they've had just 2 shots on target. Admittedly, our attacking output has been lacking as well, but maybe that could change here. Kakayo, wide. Simon Burbre, forward. Ziddy, in behind. Is he onside? He finishes it. It's a lovely finish. I don't think it's going to count. The referee gestured for the offside. VAR is going to check it. I think Ziddy went too early. Indeed, he did. If I want to find a positive, we created something. Admittedly, Ziddy was like 2 yards offside. The finish was really good as well. And having had that goal chalked off, there is now just another highlight immediately. It'd be very Football Manager, wouldn't it, for them now to go up the other end, Man City, and just go and score. I hope that's not what's going to happen as the ball is switched wide to Savinho. Takes the ball down well, the number 7. Absolutely burns Sassy, who's desperately trying to get back in position. I thought that was a foul. He's got away with it. A bit of pressure on the man. Now Gromman stepping out with the ball. Can we hit them on the break again? We did it earlier. Kakayo switches it to Ruiz. This is nice. This is an incisive little breakaway here. Little isolated. Ruiz skips past his man. Was that not a foul? Fitzgerald, who's already got an injury, commits the foul. I'm waiting for a red card here. It's not going to happen, but a set piece in a dangerous area. That was a really nice attack. Lots of big players in the middle. 2 at the back post. Ruiz, Cardozo. The ball bounces across the goal. It was blocked by a defender. A mad scramble in the box. And that was actually a really good chance. I don't want to say it prematurely. I like what I'm seeing in this game. We've got a little bit about us here. Ryu making his debut. Lays it wide to Sassy. The left mid having to cut inside. Plays it forward. Ziddy. Sassy. Lewis with a questionable clearance there. Right away into danger. Simon. How have we skied that? how we skied that. Kakayo was on the volley, just blazes it. I don't even know how it got to him. It all just appeared so suddenly. We had the ball in their box. The finish blazed over the bar. I was kind of lost for words. And after a really tame first half to the first half, suddenly this game has burst into a little bit of life. We're causing them some issues. Admittedly, it's probably where we're at our most vulnerable. You know, get our confidence up, getting forward, spacing behind for Man City to hit. And that is what they're looking to do here. Fitzgerald, Savinho scores. That was very predictable, wasn't it? Now, this was from one wide player to their other wide player. Sassy is just the wrong side of his man, too high up the pitch. There was two players that Gromman had as well. Kind of crazy the overload Man City had there. 2 minutes of added time at the end of this first half. Maybe a chance for us to do something. This is exactly what happened against Chelsea. It's happened again. It's so self-inflicted. Against Chelsea, we were 1-0 down going into the 45th minute and we conceded in extra time at the end of the first half. We've done it again here. This one, I mean, Gromman with the throw-in is just not ideal. He's trying to find Cardozo. He finds Zaire-Emery, and we are just caught all out of shape. Gallo, never going to miss from there. I feel like that is really, really harsh. But we're 2 goals down. Man City have created more. We do have the higher XG. I say that. Does that really mean anything? I'm going to get a little bit shouty here. And in the second half, we're going to mix things up. I'm going to up the tempo, go more direct, and ask for us to try and bypass the press a little bit more. And for distribution, I'm just going to put it on balanced. I think the system that we have kind of lends ourselves to being able to play it out into the wide areas or out to the centre-backs. I guess also the deep line playmaker maybe can find a little bit of space to operate within. I feel like it's quite contextually kind of based. And I'm hoping by putting it on balanced, our distribution, maybe we can intelligently pick out the places we want the ball to go. And, you know, Nana can just pick out whoever is free in the moment. Anyway, I thought there was going to be a scare there as Man City were on the attack. Zidane, I thought was in behind. He might have been offside. I feel like if Man City get a goal now immediately, I'm just going to feel sad. And I think then it will be game over. And unfortunately for us, they are in possession, although they've given it up. Now maybe an opportunity for us to make something happen. Pereira, that right centre-back position, playing it forward. Kakayo looking to chase the defender. Bit of a mix-up with the keeper, but does get it away from danger. That more direct play, trying to get the ball forward was nice. Savinho now looking to unleash a moment of magic, shoots just over. The fact that I can shout encouragement at the players and get a green, smiley, happy face reaction at 2 goals down really gives you an idea of how much of an underdog we are. If we were expected to do well here, the players would be flipping off about that shout. I think with an hour played here, we're going to go to more attacking. Zidane and Kakayo have been awful as well in the final third. Sassy's not been much better. I'm going to bring in Laudrup. I'm going to bring in Aguiar. I'm going to bring in Bordelas as well. All 3 players who featured in that previous game against Chelsea. I don't think Ruiz has had the worst game in the world, but you know what? I need some Jesus Maria Garcia in my life. Bit of a roll of the dice here, but we've got to go for it. If I want to find a positive, Man City with less than a 1 XG against us. They're having a lot of shots, but these shots are clearly from range. They're not good opportunities that they're having. They are just stat padding right now. And whilst we are 2 goals down, I don't feel like we're in a position here where we've been well and truly bullied by Man City. The mad thing is we actually have a higher XG than them. So can I claim I'm being XG'd? Probably not. They've had the quantity of chances. We've had the quality. We've just not taken those few that came our way. They have taken one there from a set piece. It might be offside from the head down. There will be a VAR check here. If this goal counts, it's game over. If it doesn't count, it's probably still game over. The goal's disallowed. It's still only a 2-goal game. I'm going to bring in Pearce, I think, for what's left here. I'm going to go to Pearce and Cardozo, both playing as attacking midfielders. Both when we do and don't have the ball, I feel like we just need to press from the front more now. Higher defensive line, press more often. And let's just see if we can make something happen late doors here. I've made my subs. I've brought in some fresh legs. It is a roll of the dice that when we don't have the ball is going to leave our midfield empty. Unfortunately for us, I think it is simply going to be 2-0 Man City here. 4 minutes of added time are surely going to come and go. I mean, they've had 17 shots for an XG of 0.94. Make that 18. Like, Man City had a lot of shots there, but they weren't creating good opportunities. I almost feel like from a defensive point of view, I'm kind of happy with how that's gone. Obviously, a failure to score is concerning. We did have chances. I don't want to say I came into today's games expecting defeats, but ultimately, you know, we are a team predicted to be towards the bottom. And against Man City and Chelsea, who find themselves in first and second, so the best 2 teams in the league, we've only lost by 2 goals in both of them. I feel oddly optimistic about that. And I don't know if it's just like copium. I guess what I'm thinking in my head is we've got Aston Villa, Bristol City, Bournemouth, Leicester kind of up next, and then also Wolves, Swansea. Like, there is a lot more winnable games on the horizon, and with a little bit of tactical tinkering as we go through these games, refining things, I think we will be in a better spot when I come back. I mean, we can't be in a much worse spot because we are currently second from bottom. Anyway, folks, I'm going to leave things there for today. I really wish that we could have caused a bit of an upset and a shock result to start the season, but I always knew it was going to be tough. Next time out, I'm coming back for more winnable games. I want to see the system on display against a slightly closer in quality team to us to see how we do fare. Anyway, besides all of that, we are done for today. Next time out, we will be back. If you spotted anything with my tactic, maybe stuff in the match engine that I could be keeping an eye on, maybe changing, let me know it down below. And besides all of that, it is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.